Sneak Attack or Show and Tell to cheat out either Emrakul or Gristlebrand very early in the game. It's backed up by your usual litany of cantrips and counterspells.
So a ponder is where we're going to begin here in round number 5 of 9 in Orlando. Appreciate you guys joining us all weekend long as we make our way to crowning another champion this weekend in the Sunshine State. It's going to be a shuffle on this ponder.
He was looking at a Show and Tell and 2 copies of Force and Will, so perhaps looking for mana or perhaps looking for a fatty. The Sneak and Show deck is usually missing one piece of the puzzle in the opening hand at least.
Yeah.
And it's using the cantrips to find the missing parts.
Take a mystery draw, will Corvese, and pass the turn back over to Figueroa. We'll see what Milton's able to find on his turn to get this game underway. Swamp, maybe it's time for a little discard seize? It is. So Thoughtseize is going to reveal a hand of Sneak Attack, Gristlebrand, Gristlebrand, and then 2 copies called in turns. Just all pairs.
Thoughtseize usually very good against Sneak and Show, but not very good against this draw, as Harry has redundancy in both of the pieces.
Well, there goes Sneak Attack. So 2 Gristlebrands, that other Sneak Attack, and then 2 copies of Scalding Tarn are what are left here for Corvese. Again, this player is 3-1. I know we've been talking with him a lot in between rounds as he is traveling to a lot of the opens. He actually flew to this open. I guess it was like a $100 flight from Pittsburgh in an airport that had 1 terminal. Or excuse me, like 1 gate or whatever.
Yeah,
just there was 1 flight.
45 minutes outside or what have you.
Yeah. Well, he wanted to play some Magic. He wants some Open Series points. He wants to play in the Players' Championship.
And Harry is from Pittsburgh, which makes him very well suited to travel a lot of events. Both it's drivable to a lot of major cities, and given Star Cities, in Virginia, a lot of the events happen in the Mid-South and the Northeast, and Harry very well located to travel around to all those events.
Let's play a game, shall we? Let's play the discard game.
All right. Well,
How about can we reprint this card?
No.
No, this is bad. Is that a bad idea?
I don't think so.
All right, 1 through 5. 2. 1 through 4. 5 and 6 will be rerolls. We did it. All right. Hi-ya! All right, Sneak Attack and Force Will. So now there's just a hand of 2 Gristlebrands. So I think what Harry's going to draw is probably Show and Tell.
Show and Tell seems really
normally, that's normally what happens in this situation, but he just plays the Scalding Tarn, passes the turn back. I think he drew a Force of Will as Figueroa is going to play a Verdant Catacombs. He's disrupted his opponent sufficiently, and he's not going to stop doing that. Wow.
Another him?
Yeah. Well, we know it's 2 Gristlebrands and a Force of Will, so let's see what happens. Uh-oh, Harry wants it. Harry wants it more random. I don't like how this is going. All right. So he says the 1 roll is the card I get to keep. He gets to keep a Gristlebrand. No reason to roll the dice twice. We only need to roll it once. Follow that up with sacrificing the Verdant Catacombs. Figueroa will take a little bit of damage here, go down to 16, get a Badlands, and we might see the old Deathrite Shaman here. Harry left with just a copy of Gristlebrand in his hand.
In fairness, he does have a lot of time to find
of course
a copy of Show and Tell, and he has also, again, quite a few cantrips he could potentially draw, so as much as Milton has attacked his hand, I mean, he's made him discard 5 cards in the first 3 turns of the game. He's not under that much pressure right now.
And also, take a look at Milton's hand right now. Abrupt Decay, Tarmogoyf, Tarmogoyf. If the Show and Tell rolls off the top, lights out.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. This game is over.
Harry was speaking to me in between rounds. He's playing 1 basic mountain. Some lists do and some lists don't. He feels now with the prevalence of Blue-White-Red Delver and other aggressive Wasteland decks, Sneak and Show deck actually does have trouble where its red source of mana will often get wastelanded after playing Sneak Attack. And deck loses a lot of games that way, so it's not great to draw a mountain. You obviously want generally blue mana for your cantrips and such, but to protect against wasteland a little bit.
Oh, it's a sweat. I like a sweat. That's a good draw. He's going to play a Scalding Tarn, pass the turn back. And playing that land's a little bit questionable because it makes your Brainstorms a little bit worse, assuming that you do draw one, as a Bloodbraid Elf is the draw here for Figueroa. So he could go Bloodbraid Elfing here. And part of the reason that Harry had to sacrifice that fetch land to go get a mountain is because he had put a Show and Tell away with Ponder.
Yes.
So he would like to increase the likelihood that he does draw that card. Let's see what Figueroa wants to do, because he has the option here to play Bloodbraid Elf and maybe cascade into Liliana or something of that nature, or you can just play double Tarmogoyf and really start to get the beatdowns going.
Yeah.
He's going to go with Bloodbraid Elf because it's a hasty threat. Now there's Dark Confidant, so that leads to more card drawing. So Figueroa's doing what Punishing Jund does, which is it really just, takes control with discard spells and it wants to close out the game. Now Confidant can help you draw more discard or Liliana or what have you, and Bloodbraid Elf is going to get the ball rolling.
Yeah, I think purely from a racing standpoint, it would have been better to play 2 copies of Tarmogoyf that turn. But the upside of hitting Liliana potentially, that's
high.
almost game over if he's able to get the last card out of Harry's hand. So I think the potential for that led Milton to want to play the Bloodbraid that turn.
Harry's still trying to draw a show and tell or a sneak attack. Let's see what he draws for this turn. Cantrips are good too. Here's a draw. It's, I think, a land. It's a volcanic island.
And even Volcanic Island's not terrible here because it now means that he can play and use sneak attack in the same turn.
Abrupt Decay, going to come in here for Figueroa. He's going to go down to 14. Let's see what he draws. That's a big one. Wasteland. Wasteland's not bad, actually.
Not terrible.
Yeah. It's time to get in the red zone.
It cuts off sneak attack as an out because Harry's dead next turn.
Yep. Down to 7. There's the Wasteland. Time for some mana. Tarmogoyf. We'll get our Tarmogoyf die out there on the screen for you guys. Just see how big Tarmogoyfs are. Wasteland will take care of
I think it's
the
a 4 or 5
volcanic.
probably.
And I think that's a Spell Pierce, and that's a concession. So no need for the Tarmogoyf die because Milton Figueroa has gotten this game over with very quickly, defeating Harry Corvese in game number 1. Sneak and Show down the game to Punishing Jund, and I can only imagine things will get more difficult for Harry from the Punishing Jund side, but we're going to start on Corvese's side first since he's on the play.
3 Blood Moons, 3 Pyroclasm, 2 Echoing Truth, 2 Ashen Rider, 2 Through the Breach, a Swan Song, a Elemental Blast, and a Pithing Needle. Not really a lot to work with here.
I like Blood Moon here.
Well, Milton, I mean, he played a Swamp that game, and he's, most of these decks have 1 copy of each basic alongside Deathrite Shaman.
It's got 2 Swamps, 1 Forest. The issue here, I mean, yeah, I guess he can fetch out basic lands. I suppose the issue is, I expect Abrupt Decay to be coming out of the deck, so the answers to Blood Moon will be very small, because I expect him to board in more discard or things of that nature. Golgari Charm is a card that he can bring. He has 2 copies of those in his sideboard, which can take care of Blood Moon and Sneak Attack. Also has a Life from the Loam to facilitate the Wasteland lock. He's got an Ancient Grudge, 3 Pyroblast, a Scavenging Ooze, 2 copies of Duress, so more discard, 2 Surgicals, 1 Thoughtseize, and then 2 Diabolic Edict. So he's actually got a lot more cards that he can bring in here against Sneak and Show.
Yeah, and the soft permission in Harry's deck is really bad in this matchup. So he may end up wanting to just be more redundant in general. He may want, for example, his copies of Through the Breach, so he has additional ways to cheat his creatures in play. He may want additional fatties, like 2 copies of Ashen Rider. If he feels his counterspells are really bad here, and you see Harry moving a Force of Will out of the deck, he may just want to add additional redundancy for things that he can cheat into play and ways to cheat them into play.
Yeah, it really feels like to me that Sneak and Show just still has that big bullseye on its back.
Right, and, it's often, barely cobbling everything together.
Yeah.
And so the discard spells can be very powerful against it. It needs to be backed up by a clock. The deck's pretty redundant and has a lot of cantrips. But Milton's start there was a really good mixture of Disruption Overload and then winning the game 3 turns after he had picked apart Harry's hand.
Now, all that being said, as we watched that first game where Milton was really starting to take over after going, Thoughtseize him, you, we were 1 top deck away from Harry just going, oh yeah?
Yep.
Gristlebrand, you.
Yeah, and
now you lose.
That's a feature of a lot of combo decks in Legacy. The Storm decks are a little bit different because they're often about assembling a density of spells. And so every Duress and every Hymn is really powerful in stopping them from being able to go off. But there's another class of decks in Legacy that are just A plus B. Sneak and Show is one of those decks. Reanimator is another version of that deck, where all they need is whatever they're trying to cheat into play and a method to cheat it into play, and you can attack those decks' hands all you want. They're often just 1 draw step away from being able to win the game.
So we're going to watch game number 2 here between these 2 players. Sneak and Show versus Punishing Jund, 2 of the more played decks in the format. Punishing Jund has always been kind of this fringe player where there's always a right time and place for this deck to be played.
Yep. I think that you want it definitely against tempo decks. It's quite powerful.
Yeah. And it does do some very fair things. It's not playing a game of unfair magic, but its cards are all very good.
Yeah, I think the types of deck is behind in general are decks with Snapcaster, Plow, and Jace. These are just 2 for ones that are more efficient and more reliable than things that you do. But I think the combo matchup for this deck is generally okay-ish, because you have, again, a lot of hand disruption. You can side into more of it. And your creature matchups are really good because you have high-quality creatures yourself. You have a lot of removal. Lily on the Veil can be really powerful against those decks. Punishing Fire is near unbeatable for a certain class of Legacy decks. But it's the decks that are kind of in the middle of those two things where I think the matchups are pretty bad.
I will tell you one deck this deck does not want to play against.
Burn.
That's one.
That's one.
That is one. The other one is Ken and Haas's Jund Depths deck.
Oh, sure.
I played against Jund online on Thursday, and we're basically trying to do the same thing, except for I have 4 limbs, and you have your one in the sideboard, and we both have Liliana, but I love to discard cards every turn.
Oh, a creature, that's endearing.
Yeah.
I'll kill it and discard a card and lose a land.
Yes.
Right.
You know, Smallpox is pretty good in the matchup, and it was by about turn 4 they were out of cards playing at the top of their deck, and I'm just loaming and bringing back Nether Spirit and Squee and all the things that you could do with that Jund Depths deck, and it seemed like it was almost impossible for me to win. I got my Loam Surgical, and I just didn't care.
Yep. Although even for Burn, that draw that Milton had would have been hard to beat because of all the hymns.
Yeah, would have been tough.
When this deck was really popular at Grand Prix Denver, this is what prompted me to sideboard Guerrilla Tactics.
Look at you. You see every angle.
Guerrilla Tactics Josh Rabbits on camera the last round of day 1. That was basically the last match that I won of the tournament, while Josh went on to top 4, I believe.
Yes, Josh ended up top 4, yeah. So really, you were more or less
classic tournament.
Yeah, you were just more or less in his way.
Right.
Yeah.
I had a good highlight, but it ended up finishing quite poorly. It's a classic me tournament.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, boy.
This is a classic Sneak and Show start for game number 2. Get you some. There. Ha! I told you.
All right, well, if you're going to do it on turn 1, obviously it's much better.
Absolutely. That's why Sneak and Show is insane, because you get to do something like this and play Blood Moon on turn 1. And guess what? I bet Harry's actually pretty happy he has red mana right now, too. So now there is a mountain. Your turn. And now here's a mountain from Corvese. So now he needs to find a blue source of mana, but Figueroa can't cast any spells. He actually has to draw the basics, and Harry has all the time in the world. He just drew a Ponder. He needs to just draw an island here. And it's not like he has a ton of those in his deck, but we could see an awkward game here, actually.
We could see an awkward game. We are seeing an awkward game.
We are seeing an awkward game. All right. Mountains. Blood Moon number 2. You're not getting out from underneath this, unless you draw a basic.
This is the second Blood Moon is good against some random disenchants. It's, of course, much worse against Maelstrom Pulse if Milton's able to break out.
All it takes right now for Corvese is a blue source. It can be a Lotus Petal. It can be an island. He has a show and tell in his hand. He just drew his 3rd copy of Blood Moon. Yep.
Nice.
Yep. 3 of them. Yeah, Harry confidently passing the turn back here. Who's going to be the first one to draw a basic? That's the question. The best part is if Milton draws a forest, you can cast Bloodbraid Elf, and it like all spirals down from there.
And
that is a sneak attack that he cannot cast. Figueroa draws a card. That's not it either. This is how the game was meant to be played, Patrick.
Yeah. There we go.
Lotus Petal.
Someone's finally allowed to take a game action. Now, now the game ends on the spot. The highs and lows of Legacy.
That's right.
Yep.
I think it's to be sneak attack, right? Yeah.
Yeah, this is safer. Because who knows what Milton could show and tell on the play.
Maybe a little confusion in the ranks. Also, Milton has access to those blast cards in his deck, so better to do the red spell. Emrakul, trigger, Annihilator, eat all of your things.
Not that your permanents were very helpful to begin with, but now you don't have any of them.
5 mountains belong to me. And it's time to shuffle this Emrakul and the rest of the graveyard back in. We're going for a flawless.
Just leave him with
no board.
No reminder that he was a participant in the game. There's no evidence.
Figueroa down to 5.
You would need even a criminal investigator to determine that there was
a little NCIS action or
second
CSI.
Player involved in this game.
Yeah. All right. Figueroa is going to get to draw a card here. It is not a land, so he's going to go discarding to Dark Confidant. Corvese draws a card. He's just looking for a threat at this point. He's basically got the check mark on this game. He's just looking for Emrakul or Gristlebrand. There's an Ancient Tomb. That will be a mountain right now. City of Traders does not die because it's a mountain. Misdirection, the card drawn. Put that Hymn to Torak right back at your face. But Corvese does not want to give away that information that he has that card in his hand. Uh-oh.
Oh.
Deathrite Shaman.
Let loose the hounds of hell.
I will do a cartwheel on camera if Milton comes back and wins this game.
I wouldn't make that promise since I don't.
I will. It won't be a good cartwheel, but I'll do one. Actual swamp. 2 swamps, 1 forest. Those are the basics that Milton is drawing to. Discard Ponder.
Does he have a Maelstrom Pulse in this list?
I don't think so. He has 1, but okay, he has 1. I looked like it was crossed off the list,
Okay.
but it looks like it may be in it now. What's this going to be? There's a Tarmogoyf. Now the clock is here. Corvese draws a card. It's an island. No cartwheel, I think. Let's see. I think it's safest to cast. Ponder. Yeah, he's gonna ponder, and that's gonna be a blast. So no ponders here. Thanks for the mountain. Oh, we're fighting over this with misdirection.
Yeah, I mean Harry's close to having to discard anyway, so
Yeah.
it's a pretty good spot.
Yeah. He does give away the information that misdirection is in his deck for him to Torek and discard spells. Hit 1, 2, 3. I don't think he found what he's looking for. He found a sneak attack and some other garbage. He's gonna have to shuffle away. He's drawn 8 outs. 4 Emrakul's, 4 Gristlebrand's.
But Milton's starting to slowly break out of this one. Of course, Harry's draw can end the game at a moment's notice,
Yeah.
but
It only takes 1. And let me tell you, this is the most uncomfortable feeling in the world. A shuffle ponder where you can dive with any draw step. I'd shuffle very carefully, Milton. Mystery card coming. Hiya! Ancient
land.
Tomb. Yeah. Pass. I have seen this before. A quick untap, a draw. That's a Bloodbraid Elf. Doesn't have the land to cast it. What's this going to be? Tarmogoyf is a 4 now.
Land, creature, instant, sorcery.
Yep. In for 4. Puts you down to 14. The pressure's about to be on because another Tarmogoyf's probably going to come, right?
Yep. Seems likely.
Yeah. There's a Tarmogoyf. Passes the turn back. Go!
Oh.
He switches the way he tapped his mana. And yeah. He's going to play Deathrite Shaman. Okay.
Let's see if that comes back.
It's another land.
Magic players in the standard open.
Now, these two guys are pretty good friends, so I don't know if this is going to bother him or not, but
One is ready to begin. Please make your way to the side event
Harry has
area
Echoing Truth.
where Judge Ben
So he's gonna bounce
McDowell
Tarmogoyfs.
will be holding yellow paper. You're looking for Ben McDowell and yellow paper.
I might get Preston doing a cartwheel here.
Yeah, I was asking you if you were about to stretch. You may want to get up. You can pull a hamstring pretty easily.
I could. It's been a while since I've been to the gym. That's a Bloodstain Mire.
So up to 5 mana. For example, we can cast Bloodbraid and still leave a Pyroblast mana.
Uh-huh.
We can redeploy the 2 Tarmogoyfs, again leaving a Pyroblast mana.
Yep. So let's see what's going to happen here. 1, 2. Remove a land. This looks like a Goyf, yeah. 1, 2. Remove a land, another Goyf. So the 4 5s are back.
I believe Milton is setting up a kill for next turn.
Yep. Untap, take a draw. I don't think that's a creature. Oh my gosh.
This is
going to get countered. Ponder. Yep. No.
All right, well, I'm going to stand up because You got some stretching to do, I think. Harry's not fighting over this. Just trying to figure out how it all went wrong.
Is he dead next turn?
There's a blood braid in his hand.
So that's 4, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I think he gets one more draw at it.
What about blood braid activations here? Or sorry, death ray rather.
1, 2, 3. He doesn't have the mana, right? Because he has to use the mana. He has to use the mana with Death Right to give him a green.
Right,
yeah,
right.
so
Okay.
he's short.
Yep. 4, 8, 11, 12, 13.
There's
Be a
Blood
bolt
Braid.
here. You know, there's
Yeah, there are draws. That's a Liliana. That one doesn't do too much. It can tick up, but Harry's got plenty of cards to discard.
Yeah.
Yep, and he's already ready to discard. Deathrite Shaman, Ancient Tomb, go to the graveyard. Attack, 4, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Maybe. Yep, 12 puts you to 2. No, that's actually in because he discarded a creature. No, he's got a creature in the graveyard, never mind.
Yeah, there's already
4,
a
8,
creature
9, 10, 11, 12.
Right, unless the glyph counts off or light tolls are off, that should not carry the 2.
Yeah, that should not be it. Yeah, sorcery. Yep. Corvese's gonna draw a card. Oh my God. Milton Figueroa wins this match 2-0 over Harry Corvese after a turn 1 Blood Moon, and Emrakul killing all 5 of his permanents. And he moves on to 4-1, and that's Corvese picking up his second loss.
So that game right there is some of the really the best and worst of Legacy Crystallize. A lot of the game was spent with one or both players not really able to function or do anything, but there was a ton of drama, a ton of swings, and somehow Milton was able to come back from